Hey, what's up guys? Ronin Man here, out at the beautiful park, Binge Kitty. Absolutely gorgeous night, and just watched the most beautiful sunset. Oh man, the picture's so pretty I might have to post it below the video. Today I want to talk about a little bit about my journey with children, and I talked about it in the Miggy interview back last year. I said that I shocked a lot of people on this channel because I said that I want to have children, and it was a very funny thing for I think a lot of guys were like what the fuck, like they didn't think I was serious even. They're like, what is Ronin Man talking about here? He wants to have kids, you know. And then I went and found a girl and got her pregnant, and it was kind of like the worst case scenario. Like, you know, there was a personality disorder, a very, very serious one. There was a lot of pain for me, a lot of pain. And the upshot of it is that I don't have the baby now. The baby's going to be born any day, and you know, there's every reason for me to be very cynical and upset and injured, you know, like a victim. And I don't want to say I'm not that, because I'm not trying not to be that. I'm just being myself. And I want to tell you my journey and where I'm at today and how I think about things. And when I went through this thing, I don't get me wrong, it was very difficult for me. It was very difficult. And I think it was almost like designed to be difficult. And I got to tell you guys this, is that I don't want to have kids because I want to have a legacy. Because I made that video, don't have, you know, basically like, you know, you can't leave a legacy, right? Because after 3 or 4 generations, your child and your children's, what do you call it, descendants won't have any more in common with you genetically than anybody else on the planet. So it's not like you're leaving this indelible mark, like a fingerprint, that will always be there for all of humanity, and you will now kind of live forever like a lot of people think. I don't believe that. And I don't, my desire to have a child was not to leave a legacy at all. My original desire, I'll tell you what I kind of went through was, everybody knows my story on this channel, you know. And I had been you know, very much the free bachelor who was out doing his thing, and I was convinced in my 20s that this was a solution for me, you know. Like, I had it down. Like, I don't know if you ever felt like that, but when you just feel like, fuck, you got life dialed, man, just dialed. You know, at the time, just sluts coming over 24/7, super hot bodies, so sweet, giving me the good stuff, bringing food, giving me massages, traveling, taking me to Singapore, traveling the world with them, you know, like just sweet girls. And I was speaking Japanese, so I was learning, my Japanese was getting better and better. And I got to tell you guys, like, some of these girls were pretty darn nice. Like, this is the difference between me and a lot of guys. I was in Japan at a time when it was a very wealthy country, and people were very optimistic, and things were good, you know. And because of that, the girls were not all stressed out about money, and they weren't stressed out about getting money from me, especially. And so I got a lot of love, and I kind of thought I had it dialed, man. I thought, this is it, man. I'm the man, you know. This is what I want to do the rest of my life. And I did that for a long time, and there was a period of time, and at some point, I needed a new challenge. I needed to change. I needed, you know, no matter what, I'm telling you right now, you guys, no matter how dialed, you want to be unblackmailable, right? So you want to fucking be totally free of all the bullshit that you're going through right now. And that's good. That's good. And you have this dream. You want to work online, or you want to live somewhere else, or you want to do something else, right? I'm telling you right now that is beautiful. I mean, that is fucking such a man thing to do. To throw away the fucking shit that was forced down your throat, or like you picked up just randomly, haphazardly, like some garage sale values, you know. And you said, you know, I now know what I want as a man. I look around the world and I know what I want, and I'm gonna go get it. I'm telling you right now that even if you do that, there's gonna be a day when you're gonna wake up and you're gonna say, I don't know if this is what I want anymore. And that doesn't mean that it's a failure. It means it was perfect at the time. But you're gonna go through stages in life. And this is what This is what a beautiful man. I want to use the word like beautiful, because men are beautiful. I don't know why with such bullshit how men get such a bad reputation. It really is such horse shit. And you're gonna wake up one day and you're gonna say, I don't know, you're gonna be uncomfortable. Like you're gonna be, all of a sudden you're gonna doubt that you got it dialed. You're gonna be like, because you've already done it, right? It's like, I don't know, I can't think of a good example, but you're gonna be like ready to move on. And you're gonna be not sure what to do, because society has all these roles for you. And as you know now, as a red pill guy, most of the roles suck ass, right? They're terrible. You know, they're not fun. They're not in your best interest. People are not, you know, they just want you to be a workhorse. People don't really give a fuck. They're just gonna like, basically, I'm gonna walk back this way because it's quiet. Nah, yeah, that's fine. It's, sorry, it's a little bit noisy on this road. Yeah, there's a road next to where I am right now, and it's not that beautiful for me for a few minutes, but, and so, you know, you're gonna need to change, right? So for me, I realized that it was time for me to do something new. And also I had a crisis in my life, a very big crisis. I was completely, massively fucked over by my sister, massively. And I might talk about that in some episode in the future. But if you're, I'm telling you right now, like as a cool single guy, you cannot believe the knives out for you sometimes. I'm serious. Sometimes the knives are out for you so bad. I don't know why. I don't know, if you're happy, I swear to God, some people just fucking don't like that. And I'm not talking about any particular person, I'm just telling you, in general. You know, like I talked about 3 inches, like there's just a lot of people out there who are not happy. And they see you kind of doing what you want, it's like, fuck. There's sometimes, man, you get fucking burned in life, you know? Really, really burned. And how do you keep on your game? How do you reinvent yourself? And how do you stay optimistic? Because the only way that you can keep moving forward is if you stay optimistic. If you lose your optimism, if you lose your health, and you lose your optimism and your zest for life, it's over, man. It is fucking over. And I don't want things to be over for you, and they don't have to be. You can reinvent yourself many, many times in life. You know, one person that I really respected, her music career, although her music was not very good, and I don't like her politics and blah, 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 but Madonna was really awesome at reinventing herself. And she would just like she'd be one particular girl, material girl, and then she would be, you know, she was a virgin, then she was a material girl, then she was, you know, the diamonds and this and that, and then she was with something else, and then she's, I don't know, whatever she was. She was all these different things. I'm not saying I respect any of these things, they're great or nothing like that. I'm saying like she underwent some major transformations, and this takes guts. It does. It's not easy. It's not easy to reinvent yourself. It's difficult mentally, psychologically. And you know, you got to have something left to give if you're going to do that, right? So, you know, as a guy, when you reinvent yourself, man, you got to be hanging out with other cool guys, because man, it's not easy. Like once I had that thing dialed with the young single girls and the fucking hot married girls, and you know, my students and this and that, fuck, I was like, what can I can't give this up. What the fuck, you know? This is the best. Like I'm speaking Japanese, like, but then I really like decided that I wanted to go to China. And I was looking at China. I had wanted to go to China since the 80s. I was always a big fan of China ever since I read The Good Earth when I was in 4th grade or 5th grade. And I was like, man, I really want to see China, really. I'd been to China, but I had never lived there. So either way, so I reinvented myself as a China guy. And I talked about this in the Persona episode. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to the Persona episode. That is like some of my best stuff, I think. And this is kind of a continuation of that a little bit. It's reinventing yourself, and it's not taking things too seriously, not taking your current persona or, you know, that kind of stuff, what people think of you, too seriously. So either way, so okay, so here I am, I move along, and I have to reinvent myself several times until I become Ronin Man. When I decide to start to, the reason why I started Ronin Man is I wanted to pass along some of the wisdom that I had gained from, you know, I was watching these other MGTOW channels, and I was like, back in the day, this is a few years ago, I was like, fuck, these guys don't know anything about women, you know? I like their style. These guys are cool, but they don't know shit about women. Like, I got to make a channel where I talk about the way women really are, you know, in good and bad, right? Not just guessing, you know? Like, I don't see how you can be MGTOW if you yeah, I don't know. You know what? Either way. So I wanted to bring in some of my wisdom, my experience, and that's what I did. And so last year, I just, you know, I kind of realized that, well, there was a lot of reasons why I had never had children. One of them is because obviously I didn't want to get married, and also I had a lot of family issues, and I was quite worried about basically being sabotaged by a particular member of my family. And so I was basically not having kids out of fear, and also because I couldn't think of a good model for it, because most people, they just have kids and they get married, right? That's it. You know, you got to be standard if you're going to have kids. But there's actually a lot of models to have kids. There's a lot of different models. I've checked into them, and I want to lay a couple of them on you. So one of them is to go to the Philippines, or get a good contact in the Philippines. Filipinos, it's like one of the youngest countries in the whole world. Kids everywhere, and the women there essentially just want to marry and have kids. That's like really, really common for Filipino women to want at this time. Now, I don't know, in 10 years it could change. It really could change. Right now it's still like that. Filipino women, they want to get married, they want to be a wife, they want to raise kids. Pretty darn simple. And I don't want that, but that opens up the door for me for a plan that I have that's a pretty good plan, actually. And so here's the plan. A lot of women are quite young, say 30 years old. They have 3 kids in the Philippines, and they don't own a house. They don't own a house yet. So they want to get a house for their kids, because the kids without a house, you know, there is a lot of crime in the Philippines, and it's definitely safer to own a house, that you know, your own house, where you can raise those children safely. So a lot of the women there are really, they don't have the money to buy a house or to build a house. So what you can do is you can find somebody who's going to be a surrogate for you in exchange for you building a house for her and her kids. So essentially what you do is one possible option, was a very good option, as a man, to have your own child that can't be taken away. No matter what happens, it can't be taken away. Is to get a contract with a woman in the Philippines who's a healthy woman, who's had a few children, 2 or 3 children, and she wants to make a house. She wants a house for her children. And you work out a deal where you say, okay, you have my kid, and then you take the kid away as soon as it's born. So don't let her breastfeed it, because if you allow a woman to breastfeed a kid, they bond with that kid very, very naturally, and it's going to be very difficult for them to fulfill the bargain that they made. And as an intelligent man, you have to know that. You can't, don't be an idiot. Don't say, hey, it's written in the contract. We're talking about humanity here. We're talking about natural things here. And some women basically don't have those natural emotions. They might not have empathy. They might not have a lot of things like that, but these are mentally disturbed people. But regular women are going to be very attached to that child once they start breastfeeding. So one of the things you can do, and this doesn't require an agency, but is to find a woman, a happy, healthy woman who's got a couple kids in the Philippines, who doesn't smoke, doesn't drink. You can watch her, you know, and then have a baby the old-fashioned way, right? Implant the baby in her body, and then wait around 9 months. Take the kid the minute the kid's born, get the contract all written up, and then take the kid out of the Philippines, and then either find somebody else to breastfeed it in another country, or bottle feed it. But this is a good way that you can have a child without the risk of divorce or anything that would, because essentially the family courts are just unfair at this time in life, right? So a lot of MGTOW videos are about this, a lot of MRA videos are about this, but I'm not about complaining myself. I don't think there's any benefit to sitting around complaining. I think the smart thing to do is to think of solutions. Instead of complaining, it's to think like, how could I outsmart this system? Or how could I work the system in such a way that I win and they win too? A logical, good way to win. And this is one way you could, because the woman will get a house for her children, And then you know, she's in good shape. She's already had a couple kids. Not a big deal for a third one or whatever. And you could do it that way. But there's a number of ways you can do it. I don't want to go over all of them. I'll probably in future episodes. I'm quite interested in having a child, and I wanted you guys to know that I'm still very optimistic, and actually I feel more optimistic than I was before this whole thing, because through this whole thing, getting the girl pregnant, having a lot of things that I didn't want to have happen to me happen, but because of that, whenever you go through a painful experience, okay, you have two choices, okay? You can either crawl up and die, or you can give up and be angry, right? Or you can dig deep inside yourself and figure out what you can do to, well, a lot of stuff. One is to understand what happened and why it happened. And then to understand, like, to look into yourself and your past. And how did you fall into this situation, right? And this requires a lot of guts, because it's quite easy just to say, you know, oh, she's no good, or, you know, like this or that, or the courts are like this. But it's not easy to look at yourself and to see. Now, I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not even saying that at all. I'm saying, like, you might have been fucked over by your parents, which had a similar personality disorder that caused you to be vulnerable, or essentially brainwash you, where you're like a round peg for a round hole, which sets you up for this kind of abuse, right? Which is kind of what I found. And what that led me to was some really, really deep personal journey and discovery about who I am, and seeing so many of my faults, so many of my deep beliefs that were not true, and my inability to protect myself and to do things that a lot of people just do easily and naturally. But my background is not so peaceful and natural, and so I went through a lot of stuff as a kid. And I don't know if I told you guys too much, but I won't do this as a family episode. But I'll just say that there's some very hard times, and they scarred me. But I never really understood what happened until now. This episode, okay, this episode with the girl and the kid forced me, really, seriously, forced me to make a decision. Was I going to give up? You know, and I include being angry about giving up, like where you're pessimistic and you don't trust people anymore, and just give up on trying, and you can't reinvent yourself when you've given up on life, right? And so, or you're gonna say, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. I don't feel like there's anything positive. I don't see how I'm gonna get over this. I don't see what, you know what I mean? I don't even see what my fault. I don't even understand what happened, but I'm gonna fucking figure it out. Like this thing is not going to beat me. Like, you know, like for me, it's like Ronin man is not going to be beat. Is not going to be beat by this thing. And we were talking some very, very difficult emotional issues here. Very difficult. And I faced them, and I've been working on them for the last, since May 14th. It's been very difficult. I even had a 6-week period where I couldn't sleep. Very difficult. But that whole time I kept my nose to the grindstone. I've probably written 1,500 pages of my own personal experiences, my own history, trying to figure out, and reading. I've read many books, and probably, I don't even know how many YouTube videos by counselors, psychologists, therapists, trying to figure out and really suss out the truth about my situation. Because when I'm trying to fix myself, when I'm trying to get in deep in some issue, I will not be satisfied with a half-ass, you know, she's no good kind of thing, and I'm great. That's not true, because I'm not great. I'm a normal person, and I also have my faults. I have my misunderstandings, and I have things that I've essentially, like, learned helplessness. You know, when you had a tough time in life. It's like the elephant, right? The elephant, the baby elephant, they tie him up to the little twig, and then, you know, he can't pull his leg out because he's too small. Then he gets bigger, and then he's still tied to the twig, and he still thinks he can't move. You know, I had that kind of thing because of some abuse that I went through as a child, where I didn't really understand how to stand up for myself in some scenarios. And this situation has absolutely revitalized my life. Like, I really feel like 100 times the man that I was back on May 14th, and have undergone some massive, both mental, spiritual, and physical transformation. And so, you know, I could never be where I am now, if I wouldn't have gone through this. No way, because it was do or die. It was kind of like an alcoholic or an addict. You know, they get to what's called the bottom, right? They're either gonna, you know, whatever, go on to the bitter end and die or kill themselves or whatever, or they're gonna make a change in their life. And that was essentially where I was at emotionally, and with a lot of childhood issues that were brought up by this whole thing, and also difficulty with the whole issue, like betrayal, deception, lies, cruelty, lack of empathy, stunning lack of empathy. And these kind of things were like really difficult for me to really grasp even, you know. I had, man, I tell you, yeah, you guys don't even know. I might talk later in the future more about it, but right now I'll just say, I'll leave it at that and say that it was difficult, and I didn't shirk from the challenge, and that's why I'm here right now. And I'm telling you right now that I am more optimistic than ever. I see myself better than I ever have. I'm very grateful for what I had to go through, because if I wouldn't have gone through that, I can see myself, you know, because I'm 53, right? You know, like, it's not easy to change when you get older. Like, you need a real fucking, like, something really big, like a child, or the near-death experience, or, you know, something like that to really force you to make big changes. But this is really one of the essences of being alive, is that ability to reinvent yourself and to face and fix things that you've been hiding, things that you've been shirking and have not been facing, you know, or didn't understand or have any ability to understand even. Maybe you understood subconsciously that something was going on, but you didn't consciously understand what to do and what were the options to work on it. So, yeah, so I'm here, and I'm very grateful, and don't want to make this too long, but I just want to say I'm very grateful for the community, and the convention was fucking awesome. I promised a remake of an old video, but I haven't done it yet. I just kind of was walking around here and the sun was setting. It was beautiful. I was feeling very optimistic, and I was thinking to myself, I kind of want to have a kid more than ever now, but I'm looking for a more out-of-the-box solution for a child, because I don't want to put myself at risk. Not everybody's good in the world. Not everybody tells the truth, you know, and I want to make sure that I'm not at risk from somebody who has nefarious motives, because I have good motives. I want to raise a child. Like, I really want to love a kid. It's not to leave a legacy. It's just purely to teach everything I've learned in life, to give love that I didn't get as a kid, to try to see the eyes come on in another human being, and to encourage another person, you know, and encourage them to do the things they want to do, and to help them to be loved, and to feel trust in this world, so they don't end up with a personality disorder or something even worse, you know. I want to bring good into the world, basically. It's not because it's a legacy, it's just because even if the sun, you know, explodes into a red giant and we all die tomorrow or the day after the kid passes away, I still am happy, because I wanted to do it for myself, and I wanted to do it for somebody else, the little kid. So, you know, that's where I'm at now. I'm quite interested in having a kid in an out-of-the-box type of scenario is what I'm thinking right now, but I'm not quite sure. I got an open mind, and I wanted to let you guys know that there's many ways to do things. If you have questions about some transformation that you want to make, some new way of looking at life or some change, feel free to put them down below in the box, and let's get working on them. You know, let's get, if there's something you want to get, like I said, you get to one goal, and then you decide that 10 years later or 20 years later, you realize that wasn't everything. You want more, right? That's what happens to me, and that's why I'm kind of like right now thinking that I do want to, I want to basically give my love, which I have a lot of love, I want to give it to a small kid, basically. I want to give everything I learned and all my love to a little kid. That's what I want to do. And that in itself is just enjoyment for myself, you know, and that's what I want to do. So either way, guys, there's where I'm at right now. I don't know, you know, it might not work out, you know, it might, for whatever reason, my desire at this moment might not happen. But you know, it's okay. You know, it's I think you don't get what you want if you don't know what you want. And if you don't have the balls to ask for what you want, you know? And I'm not saying 100%, I do 100% want this. This is what I'm thinking right now. This is what I'm considering. And I'm going to let it germinate in my brain. I'm going to check out all the options for out-of-the-box solutions for this type of thing. And, or maybe even in-the-box solutions. I'm going to look at everything. And, you know, if nothing else works out and it doesn't happen, that's fine too. You know, I think a lot of it is having the guts to go after what you want, and then if it doesn't work out, just to be okay with that too. You know, life doesn't, it's like that Rolling Stones song, you don't always get what you want, right? But you get what you need. And one of the things you need is you need to keep trying, and you need to stay optimistic, and you need to be honest with yourself. Don't let anybody tell you what you need, okay? A lot of people say, oh, you know, MGTOWs don't do this, or they don't do that, or, you know, this and that, blah, 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 blah. That is all bullshit. Guys, go your own way. Make a decision, make a wise decision, and if you make a mistake, it's totally normal and totally fine. Stay optimistic, reassess your situation, reevaluate, and then look for what you can do right now, and then keep your finger on the pulse of what you want, because a lot of times what you want changes over time. So it's not like even, you know, things could change in my life too. But I'm always better for having tried and gone down that road, you know. And that's how I feel right now. I feel very lucky that there's a kid coming into the world with my DNA, even if I never meet the kid. I feel very glad, you know, is that I didn't think I could have a kid at 53. I was worried about that. I was like, because I never tried to get a girl pregnant before, you know, and I never trust girls when they say they got pregnant from me. I just never believed it, you know. And this time, you know, I'm, you know, pretty darn sure I got a kid coming on the way, and you know, it's like it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. You know, I can get a girl pregnant at 53, right? So I can do it again, and you know, but this time I want somebody that if I do in the box, which I don't know, this is like a big stretch, and I don't know where I'm going to go with this one, but I just want to say is like whatever you want, guys, you should go get it. And if honestly, you know, one thing I was really surprised about, my last video was about the cock carousel, and a lot of the guys who were commenting were basically saying the reason why they don't like the cock carousel is because girls are not as attractive to get married to. And I was shocked because, like, I realized that there was a hell of a lot of guys on this channel who want to get married, and that blew me away because I never wanted to get married. So I was like, oh wow, no way, you know. I tell you what kind of pissed me off is nobody's honest about it. I don't see any MGTOW videos like, hey, I want to get married to a girl by 29, this kind of girl. I want to have 2 kids. I want to raise them like this. Nobody ever says that. But if you look at the comments, there's a shit ton of guys who want to get married. You know, there are a lot of MGTOWs. And I know it's not perfect in the family courts and all that shit. But hey, man, in the end, man, life is short, man. You know, you can do what you want, man. You got to find, you know, just like if I want to have a kid, I can do it out of the box, or I can do it in the box. And if you really want to get married, there are ways to do it. There are ways to do it. That's not my goal personally, but if that's your goal, embrace that goal and go about it in a logical, rational, optimistic fashion. I don't know what that would be in the case of getting married exactly, because I haven't thought about it. It's not something I've focused on. I've been thinking about kids, you know. I want to give my love to a kid, right? And you know, it's just something in me. I don't know why. It's just something I want to do. It's something almost makes me want to cry. You know, I really love kids, and I want to give my love to a kid, and that's where I'm at. So wherever you're at, it's all right, guys. It's very, very good. This is a big group of guys with a lot of different personalities, with a lot of different needs and a lot of different wants, you know, and that's awesome, man. That's fucking awesome. So I hope you guys have a nice night, and signing off, Ronin Man signing off from the park. It's now dark as heck, and I'm gonna go get a huge meal at that building up front where you see the yellow thing in the middle, the yellow hat there. That's Terminal 21, so I'm gonna go munch some dinner over there. All right, guys, have a good one.